coming on now.
I don't know which number. Should I say the number?
That's the 7th.
Hello.
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 Bye.
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์
สวัสดีครับที
Hello สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับแตงโม Okay, seems like we got on really fast this time.
Yeah.
That's good. Really good. Okay, I'm going to start out with the exercises. Well, actually, I should do the welcome. So, welcome to the 7th Healing Circle / training session. And I'll start out with the exercises. Those, and we're going to do, for some reason I'm feeling 5 as a number, so we're going to do 5. Got a gasp from density already. Starting, 1. And 2. And 3, you start to feel that energy circulating. And 4, excuse me, 4. Vibration in your hands. And 5. Very good. And with this one, we're going to also do 5 these after you feel the energy between your hands, about 12 inches apart. Okay. And when not feeling that vibration, let me know. Okay. Good. Okay, I'm going to increase. Give you that boost. Anyone not feeling that boost, let me know. Okay, I'm feeling that intensity. Very good. So we're going to take this, we're going to do 5 containments around ourselves. Starting now. 1. 2. 3. 4. And 5. So I'm going to push that energy outward. Excuse me. Out into our space. And doesn't matter which order you're doing it. And again. With that, we're also containing the form, the setting. Focusing on your intent. Okay, very good. So Ms. A, we can just
Yes.
do the intro.
Well, just the general intro is, this month we have a young woman who's struggling with issues around cutting out noise and influences that interfere with her Neo Shamanic journey. Standard.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. There's nothing to add to that then.
I don't think so.
Okay.
We usually just get into the details later.
All right. So, our subject today is Jessica.
Hello,
It's
Chief.
the break. So Jessica's purging already. Very good. Are you in a comfortable position?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're really not prepared for this.
No,
Very
they're not.
good. Okay. So terrific. So what I'm going to have everyone do, I'm going to start the timer with the Alexa. Miss A can start the timer with
Yes.
Alexa 3 minutes after I
Yeah.
say start.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put your hands together again. Go into the part and start to feel that energy between your hands. And you're going to hold that with the intent of protecting and containing Jessica. Start.
Alexa, bring
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
in. Starting now.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Ms. A, you're going to get on the table because it looks like this is starting off really fast. So
Hi. Hi. Ooh.
a nice little crown in there. Okay. Okay, for the blue protection around Ms. A while you guys are holding that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Hi. Yay.
they're all being drawn to that nice, strong energy that's flowing right now. That's why you're hearing so much activity. They're starving. And they're walking right into the trap. Okay.
Hi.
One of the centers is the chest again. And fasting hold. Activity, a lot of chaos going on. Intensity, a lot of chaos going on the other side. Down to the stomach.
No.
After the 3 minutes, I will ask what any of you see. Second. That way removed also.
This is just.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
In this throat area, trying to affect speech. Alexa, stop. I'm gonna go on a few minutes, and then I will ask you guys what you see. Minus psychic warriors. Interesting one. It's not gonna work, dude. Are you growling?
No.
You growling?
No. Hi.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
There may be some noise going on with the purging, but anyone who wants to start out, give me some visuals.
Hi, Chief. This is Sire.
Okay, I say.
Well, there's an entity that has a chain around Jessica's neck and it tugs at her to make her like go its direction. And then there's a red entity with multiple horns that is doing all the growling. And then a witch coven, and she has like an evil laugh, the main witch, and then also seeing Jessica as a young girl.
Very good. Very good. Continue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moving.
Hey.
There's only one evil out. Come on, give me more than that. Confidence, do you? Well, you know what's going to happen to you, right?
No.
I'll show you.
Excuse me, Chief, it's Lucy.
Yes, Lucy.
I saw from her stomach like lots of serpent things trying to escape, almost like snakes all slithering around. And then it seemed like there were vines strapping her down to the ground. But then I think I saw like a gold knife in her hand where she was trying to cut the vines away. And then the other thing I saw was like shadow figures walking around like they're lost, almost like maybe they're bouncing off a containment and bouncing into wall, just bouncing around. But there was one in the corner screaming with their hands by their ears, just screaming.
I get a verification on all of those. Very good.
Thank you.
As was verification, I forgot to mention verification from what I mentioned earlier. Right on money as well. Very good.
Oh.
The serpents in the stomach thing, I think they're trying to distract with that. Yes, but it is happening. But it has to do with the little witches. Yeah, I like taking the juice from three little witches. Sounds like something else other than Jessica purging. Sounds like someone else is purging. Containing. Well, we got you guys in containment. I'm just going to take here.
Ooh. Ooh. Hey. Oh.
Yeah, that's all your precious essence of really enslaved energy into the vortex and then return to that.
No. Hi.
Chief, this is Sire again.
Okay, Sire.
There's like a group of like old they kind of look like pilgrims but religious, but then burning of the cross, like a super super heavy cult. And the is a white guy.
Okay. This I think we're going to where Jessica grew up.
No. No. No.
Bingo. There you go. Very good. Very good observation.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Nothing is yours. Get the mind business. Nothing is yours.
No.
As a location. No. Okay. Let's go tap in. No. Come on. Okay. Okay, in Wisconsin. Yep. Yes. There they are. They are contained. Very good. So there's some things else to contain there. And so let's see. I'm going to give you guys, my psychic warriors, the students, visual. And I'm going to have you contain that visual. Let me make sure that I got the right visual first. Okay. Let's see. These guys, these are men, definitely wearing the. They didn't get to that far. Pilgrim, dark hats, black hats, black outfits, white collar type deals. Okay, so do the visual. There are several men in particular that I want to focus on, and we're gonna do our little exercise on these guys.
Yeah.
They can't run. Feet
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
So get that visual,
Yeah.
and you're going to take that energy, and you're going to contain. And I'm going to set the timer for 3 minutes. Alexa, set timer for 3 minutes. And you're going to hold them for that 3 minutes and see what you see in that time.
No. No.
Don't let any sounds distract you. Just focus on that vision and see what happens while you are containing them. And with that containment, you'll see quills. Those who understand the quills, piercing them. You know how that looks to you when the timer goes off. Okay, very good.
Oh. Oh. No.
So while they're doing that, I'm going to deal with a serpent thing in the stomach. So focus on that.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, that'll feel long enough.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. Yeah.
that's their alarm.
Shit. Ah.
Want to show me? Pretty hot.
No.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Ah. Ooh.
Alexa, stop. Right. Whoever wants to go first, tell me what you see, what you saw.
Hi, Chief. It's Nelly.
Okay, Nelly.
I saw
the guys almost like in an old town and tails falling behind them, but the tails were connected to like one bigger thing, like I don't know if it was a snake or something like that. And then I saw like a skinned horse or something like that, almost like it couldn't breathe.
Okay, so like a skinned horse?
Yeah.
It was like a skinned horse, but it could have also been like a bull, but it was trying to breathe, almost like it was dying.
Okay, so they had skinned it alive.
Yeah.
Yes, Chief.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's straight up satanic. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Satanic.
Yeah. Yeah.
For this information, many towns have their foundations are satanic. Many towns foundations are satanic. Words almost being built on top of a pentagram. I think that the one. Yeah, Ms. A was reminding me of something that I had mentioned some time ago about a lot of cities. If you were to look at them from the sky, you would see in somewhere, probably where they were settled originally, which means these are places that were colonized. The center will have some semblance of a pentagram.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that there are images of Washington, D.C. that are probably certain individuals, yeah, someone gasped on that one, that have certain satanic symbolism. That's how is a while ago, because I know one is the shape of an owl. And owls have been used as satanic images as well by Satanists. So yes, and that was actually what the article was about that I read some years ago. And I don't recall if it was a pavilion or just Washington D.C. where all the White House and all of that exists. That everything was set up with dense intention, satanic intention. So if you were to search on the internet, you'll probably find that image somewhere. It has to do with, there's a couple different symbols going on, and I know one of them that they distinctly outlined was the owl. And that a lot of political figures in the United States will go to this particular retreat where there would be this huge owl statue. And we got this guy who used to have a show on cable about conspiracies, and he got his name by actually sneaking into one of these rituals, and he was across a lake or something like that, and he at night and took some video footage of the ceremony going on. Of course, he also showed images of certain political figures, didn't matter which side they were on, Republican, Democrat, or whatever, who were all together, and have been invited to this place to do this ritual where there's a huge statue of an owl and accusations of actual sacrifices with actual humans going on, where there's a scream in the. So this guy, he went on to have, I forget his name was mentioned before I even talked about him. Probably it was mentioned during the forum with Rayner, where he talked about how the financial system runs everything. The seventh Ask the Chief. And I was somewhat critical of this guy, also because I felt that what he was doing was literally just adding to the essence production. by scaring people with these things. Though a number of things he was saying were actually going on. Some things wasn't buying, but that one actually that he made his bones on at the time was true. Okay. So anyone else want to share what they see, what they saw?
Excuse me, Chief.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, we can go.
Hi,
Marley.
Marley.
Thank you, sorry.
Thank you, Sarah.
Welcome.
Go on then.
Okay.
Carry on.
So I saw like black worms falling off her and then coming back on her and then falling off her.
Okay. So was it her whole body that you saw the worms coming onto, or certain parts of the body?
I mean, like near her tummy.
Where I've been working. Okay, very good. So we're trying to get back, and this is, I think, what Lucy in other words, interpreted as the serpents. So I think that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the exact area, the same area. We got a yes on that. So when they're trying to come off, it's like there's so many of them. It's just like dropping. It's like reaching your hand into a barrel full of eels or something, and pulling off, and the eels are dropping back in, but they're all being removed. Someone else was going to say something.
Yeah.
Yes, Fire.
Okay, go ahead, Saya.
So when containing the group of guys, I saw a house behind them, but I don't know if it's particularly that house, but in a closet there's a box with, I believe, Jessica's hair and all of her blood, but tied to something. And then I saw the rituals they would do, gutting of people. I could hear their chants, and I could taste tobacco and alcohol and smell their cologne.
Oh, okay. So let's see. This is modern then. So you're seeing something that's, I would say that overlapping time. So what these guys have reached back to the ones who were there previous to them, all the way up into modern time. So we'll see, are they still doing these types of rituals at this particular point in time? And I'm saying yes on that. These go back to 1700s, 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 1600s, 1700s. So 1700s, this particular group massed together in this particular area and started. It was something that would be, I would say, synchronized in a way as to how certain groups were set up. So setting up from one part of an area that's been taken over and then moving onward to, and they probably had I guess, they're into symbolism big time. So I was thinking maybe possibly the pentagram, but I'm getting more of the shape of the owl again.
Yeah.
And the curiosity would be, why would the owl be a symbolism for Satanism?
Chief, I have a question.
Yes.
So when doing research before about the owl and how it symbolizes, I know it dealt with Hillary Clinton, but there's a specific name they had for the owl entity that keeps popping up in my head. It starts with the M. I don't know if you want me to say it or not.
You can go ahead and say it.
Moloch.
Oh, okay. Yep, that name sounds familiar. So,
Huh?
it's affecting them.
I.
And as I said, that it doesn't matter which political side individuals are on, they're all connected to that same root.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And these individuals were connected to what they consider to be politics.
Hey.
Yeah, there he is. What Ms. A asked me is Maud's still around.
Oh. Oh. Wow.
My
I'm old.
Don't let the avatar. I'm older than you. Quiet now. So, this is actually, I will get that. That's the answer to Moloch. Show himself.
It's me, but I also have a crew. That's also who they worship. They feed my followers. They feed my people.
Wow, you sure ratting yourself out.
I will tell anything.
Why are you telling anything? What, to say you hide?
Yes.
Or you're so tough that you think you can beat me?
No. The end is coming. You are.
The end is coming.
Ah.
It's coming. Okay. Yeah, at first I thought it was a threat, but no, it's not really a threat. It's kind of like caving in.
There's always 7 to 13 positions underneath me.
7 to 13 positions under him, depending. Yeah, things are quite flexible. There's no fixed numbers. There's no fixed positions when it comes to the other side, which also translates to this illusion that we're living, this hologram that we're living in. They try to get, people stuck in concepts of symbolism. So the owl is basically symbolism. It only has as much effect as you believe it has. So I don't believe in any of it. Therefore, I just pretty much walked through all of it. And he just realized that that's what happened.
The most we've ever had was 17, but it became unruly.
Yeah, because that's part of the nature of density, to be unruly.
Yes, they began fighting for my position.
So there's always a battle for position, just like it is in this realm. This realm is an example of the dense realm from which the concepts of this realm come from. So there's always someone trying to push someone off of the pedestal, push someone out of their position. And the crazy illusion has to do with people thinking that they can get on the top and stay there. And it's an illusion of the top. Here, there is no top. The position, the top position was always getting in. No longer exists. Like watching all the chickens fight jockey for position. And in the end, he just reaps the essence from all of that turmoil and all that stress and all that hate and anger and so on and so forth. And then does a little vision thing and says, hey, you're the one who was supposed to be on the top. But he's doing that to like a bunch of them. You're the one who's supposed to be on the top. That's why it's illogical. He loves it when there are people who aren't even qualified to even be in charge of anything and tells them, you're the one who's supposed to be on the top. You know, for instance, it's like these weird characters that you've seen through history, and one of the more recent ones like the Trump. You know, not qualified to lead anything. He's just a major fuck up in life in general. But somebody's talking, pigeons are talking to him constantly. I said that because they wanted me to say that. So anyway, go ahead with it. He wants to give me some information, some ropes, which is ropes has to do with information from the other side. If you can tap in with your higher consciousness, it's open enough, awake enough, someone can give you a rope. You know, you can't see anything, but there are certain individuals who I have monitored these when they're filmed who see a lot of things going on during these healing sessions that you guys don't see. So anyway, I can feel it in my hand. It did give me something. So that information I can take, I can just either whatever, just meld it in. Sometimes just put it in like such, but not interested in that. Put it in there. Therefore, I have information that is fed through that road, through his awareness, his experiences. Yeah. So there are times you may come across something dense, and all of a sudden you get a lot of information about things that you weren't even thinking about. And you're wondering why. It's because you're tapping into this consciousness, into its rope, into its energy. Now, do I need the rope to tap into its energy? No, I don't. I can get it because I want it. If I want it, I will get it.
giving you a density that control each top puppet of this world. He calls them puppets.
Yes, because they're all our puppets.
Yes, they are only puppets.
Yeah.
They think that they control themselves, but they are.
Yeah, and most folks in the world just think, oh, these guys are puppets, and don't realize that they're puppets also. I'm handing this off to the ladies.
Oh, you can check.
Well, he wants me to test to see if he's lying. Excuse me, if there's a little person coming out from all this garbage he's throwing in my direction. Okay, is he lying? Hey, man, it's going down. Are you lying? Oh, okay, no. I think somebody's trying to throw you under the bus.
Because I threw them under the bus.
All right, so in reality, when I ask directly tuning into him, is he lying? No, he isn't. But when I ask the general question, ones that are around him that, you know, part of his little crew or group, they decided to throw him under the bus. You know?
They stare at me.
Yeah, because they know they're all also caught. So everyone is going to do a containment around everything that is connected to Moab.
No.
Okay?
No. Ah.
What else? Say now.
Oh. No, no, no.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I'm going to grab him, put him to the side for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So with these guys, I'm going to quill them. See in your mind, those who understand what I mean when I say quilling. It's quilling now, quill. Go again. Go again.
Yeah.
There we go. Again. Again, very good. One more. Quilling. Does anyone see what's going on?
Yeah.
So get
I saw quills going through symbols that were on doorways that created portals.
This is where they live. This is where they hide.
So he's saying that this is where they live, and this is where they hide. Those symbols that you saw, quills are going through with the intent to quill him. You quill the things that are connected to him, and quit doing that.
No.
But these days, they are even hiding in items.
Yeah, which is not unusual. They're hiding in objects as well. There's some of you, I think, had a paranormal report that talked about someone being trapped in items. Also, you will find in a lot of paranormal shows or whatever, haunted dolls and things of that sort, where things can be trapped in there, or some things decide that they're going to live in there. They decide they're going to live in there as a means to feed on whatever that they do. That's an interesting. Sounds like a combination of a vocal and a metallic sound. I don't know if anyone heard that.
They're reacting. Oh, you have time.
Okay. So with that, join me. Everyone's going to take that.
No.
Containment. All
Wow.
together now. We're going to throw that into the vortex and return on the count of 3. 1,
No.
2, and 3. Throw.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the ones that you hear at this point are observing, because they haven't gotten to them yet. They're observing what's going on. So, if this reaction with certain things that I do. So, I'm going to be pulling from starting a stomach again, because it's explained down there. I don't know if Marley still sees the black worms. Do you still see things in the stomach, Marley?
No.
Okay, very good. He's going through his records.
I have a map for each of your clients.
Okay.
Excuse me, Chief.
Yes, Marley.
I see a woman walking to her and saying, "You're nothing."
Ah. Containing her. Contain her now. Feel the containment? Do you feel the containment? Do you feel yourself containing her?
That?
I will help you out. See, when they walk into the picture, they get tagged immediately, so they can't hide. As soon as they show themselves, there's no hiding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Jessica, did you feel anything like that? Someone trying to denigrate you or trying to shake your resolve?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, very good. Very good, Marley.
And Chief, can I mention something from the session with Miss Oracle L?
Sure.
That ties to that somewhat. There were some fragments, and like there was a 6-year-old fragment that felt like it wasn't allowed to have thoughts or their thoughts were stupid, and also a 7-year-old fragment that felt like she was stupid or yeah.
Okay, very good. Thanks for sharing that, because actually that opens up the conversation having to do with fragmentation that all of you are dealing with to some degree. No two individuals have the exact same experience, but everything that the system or that this world has to offer has to do with just tapping you out and turning you into black ooze in the end. In other words, tapping out your essence, because it was feeding on your essence all along. So there will be certain things that will come in when you're starting to feel confident about what you're doing. All of a sudden, there's a voice that comes in, you can't succeed at this. You're nothing. You're too stupid. Whatever you say means nothing. And a lot will find that when they deal with what I call the family units, growing up with the concept that family is supposed to be all supportive and so on and so forth. Inevitably, you may find some individuals, depending on the size of the family, who are trying to be supportive. But if a larger family, you will find all ranges of types of individuals, consciousness in those families. And within a larger family, there's generally a number of individuals who are very, very negative.
Yeah.
And sometimes you wonder why this particular person is targeting you constantly.
Yeah.
And always targeting you with negativity.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the fragments, then you got the fragmentation having to do with past expressions. And that's where you start to pick up a lot of things. Past expressions, each expression, they tag something else on. It's almost like, a bus where none of the passengers ever get off. So, it's like doing a bus route around the freaking planet, and people get on, and and they're unruly, and so on and so forth. They're filthy in your bus, and they just don't get off. So they will also throw in a fragment that is already defeated, that will respond to negativity.
Oh.
So no matter how positive you're feeling, all you need is just one person to just say something very negative, and then there goes your positive feeling, there goes your good day. So you will understand and you will actually recognize when you're speaking to people, and with this bit of awareness and whatever else I've talked to you before, that you'll see a shift in individuals, especially individuals who are not in the movement, who are not doing any kind of work to try to heal themselves. And to tell you the truth, the only work is my work, really. There's too many holes in other stuff. And too often, individuals who are running these types of not these types, no one runs my type of movement, but something considered to be healing, you will find under it a pretty large ego, 9 times out of 10. And really in those situations. So there'll be the act of I care and so on and so forth, and they love to use that really dicey word love. So they don't even know you're from a hole in the wall, but they'll walk up in front of you and say, you know I love you. And I'm quite sure, if not all of you, most of you have run into situations or people say, don't even know who you are, they get on the media. I love everybody. And some part of you might feel all warm and fuzzy, but the logic, if the logic is awake and say, hey, how can they love? But they don't know everybody. So a lot of times it's like, I really love that juice I'm getting from you while I'm jerking it out of you. I'm going to pull everything out of you, and then I'm just going to leave you as a dried up husk. So buy into my ruse. It's like, give me your essence. That's what that means. So, anything?
Please.
Yes.
Mimosa here.
Okay.
So I had this visual of someone cutting Jessica's hair. It might have been some former life, and I felt like someone was jealous of her and wanted to punish her by cutting her hair and then hitting her with a whip on her back.
Okay. I get a visual of that. I'm getting that is an accurate vision. Yep. It is past expression.
Hi.
Nations. Have a First Nations expression. I'm just looking at it, just observing it.
No.
Okay. Yes, there was some having to do with attractiveness at that time. And talent. Female, of course, but of course at the time men, certain men wore their hair long as well, but this is female experience, expression. They're telling me what that was that singing?
It sounds like singing. Yeah.
Yeah. So you had talent in singing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you were able to sing quite well. Very well, as a matter of fact. Just started first on the second. We had to deal with this is coming up.
Yeah.
Only right now has to do with the trauma from that particular expression. Those traumas from other expressions will affect you in your current expression. So there were women who actually touch your hair, and generally it has to do with the jealousy as to what, men being attracted to you and attracted to they were literally trying to belittle your voice at first. It's just a siren's song. She's roping you in, or whatever, And, is that fashion? That's like a little part.
No, that was me. Well, I mean, that was
That was you.
That was you.
You didn't have to give yourself away. You could have. Yeah, that's fashion, boy. You can bark like a grown up. Anyways. Okay, so what's going on? If that's going on, they're just trying to fight the story. Yeah.
Ow. Ow. Ow.
Yeah, so not only was it the cutting of the hair, it had to do with something also that would structure vocal cords.
No. Oh.
Let's verify.
Yeah.
Got it correct on that. Okay, so these guys are actually making noise from the external place. I'm going to expand the containment. There we go. Now that containment, I believe, roped them in. Okay, good. Definitely some stuff having the throat.
Yeah.
So Jessica, how did you feel about singing in this lifetime? When you were a kid, how did you feel about that? Or did you?
Yeah, I liked it as a kid, actually. And I think I brought up before that I was singing one time, and one of the units, the brother unit, was really like rude about it. Like, oh, we really heard you. Like I was singing really loud in the choir. But when I was younger, I enjoyed singing.
Okay. So if you, in other words, well, we got that, that particular person came through just to be a tormentor anyway in this expression. So when you were doing that, did you get any negative attention from anyone else besides him? Or he's the one that really affected you the most whenever you were doing something as a kid?
Yeah, I can't remember if others too were like rude about it. I mean, he's probably the most vocal, I would say. But I think probably others did too. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, that is the dominant one. Yeah, there's some others probably. Yeah, so I would say probably some other girls who were maybe being very competitive with you at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, as far as like, I think you didn't really care much about what they had to say, but you did care about what he had to say.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that definitely did bother me more.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we threw and made sure. Sorry, I didn't mean. I forgot to. Well, I do feel successful with the way I work when I throw something. It's just like, okay, I know it's gone. But for all of you who doing the containment of these particular entities that I told you to contain, and with their arm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Push out the parameters one more time. Even wider.
No.
Your thought. Okay. That arm. Okay. Want to do it inside, eh? Something's happening. What is going on? Yeah. That's what he's saying it? All right. There's voices saying something's happening right now. That's all right. We'll find out. Let's see. Yeah. Something's happening right now. Yes. Something that's not very good to them. Right. Yeah, we have some kind of interesting noises going on around here right now during this. So in other words, that joint removing and throwing into the vortex did work very effectively. Very good, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to focus in on another aspect. If anyone seeing anything that they want to mention, you can go ahead before I start searching and give you the next exercise.
Excuse me, Chief.
Yes, Marty.
I can see black waves with her hair.
All right, we didn't deal with the hair issue. Very good.
Hi, Chief. Sire.
Yes, who is this?
Sire.
Oh, hey, Sire. Okay.
So in Jessica's back, a sewing of red thread. And then I keep seeing a white house with like, it's like kind of dirty, like in the inside, like dingy. And then I've just been smelling like tires, tar, and then burn of something.
Does that ring a bell at all, Jessica?
That sounds like where I grew up.
Okay, where you grew up. Okay, very good, very good.
There were a lot of vehicles, so that would have been a lot of tires. I remember the smell, definitely. I think I can't at the moment. I can't quite remember, but I think I did live in a White House. Yeah,
okay.
and
Okay.
yeah. Actually,
Yes.
Yeah. It might have been green. I can't remember now. Yeah.
Now, I know there's a couple places. One place was sold.
Yeah, that place might have been green.
And then
when I did the mother unit, it might have been white.
Okay, they just reacted, so I think that's a bingo. Okay. So we're actually, in other words, you're seeing places where there's significant trauma has happened, or things that happened.
No.
And the red thread, when I mentioned the red thread, I just got a vision of almost like a cadaver being filled with herbs or something and being sewn up from the back. They would usually do it in the front, usually that type of stuff, like, lost for words, when they do an autopsy or something like that. But there's a number of things that have to do with, witchcraft, having to do with vampirism. Let me check.
Yeah. Yeah.
Witchcraft. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So. Okay. Well, involves grave robbing.
Hey.
Happened before another lifetime. Okay. Also something having to do with dowels. More than one dowel. Dowels.
Hey.
Do you recall anything having to do with dowels, Jessica? As a kid, anything weird having to do with dowels?
I don't recall at the moment. I mean, I can imagine that there probably was something, but it's not coming up at the moment.
Okay, so exercise. See who can focus in on the image of a dowel.
Fire, sorry. That was so close.
That's okay. If you got the information, you got the information. It doesn't matter.
Okay, a porcelain doll with brown hair, pigtails, and like a dress.
Is it like something like it's in a sitting position?
Yeah.
And the dress, oh, sorry.
Okay, now I have some dolls in mine too. Wah!
Yeah.
I-
Let's do something with that. Let's help that. Yes, go ahead.
I
There's
think
a lot in that. Hold on for a second. There's a whole lot there. Let me let this come to the surface first. Oh, they're trying to choke me while we're talking. Okay. So hold on a second. I'm going to have everyone do a containment. I'm doing an extra containment around Jessica.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
starting.
Yeah.
Now we're going to hold it for the 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Alexa, set timer for 3 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alexa, set timer for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
3 minutes. Starting now. By the way, if you want to change your timer, try asking me. Change timer to 5 minutes.
Okay. Anyway, that going on. And you can now tell me what came up for you, Jessica.
the grandmother unit had given me these two, I think they were kind of like porcelain dolls, and one other that, so the two porcelain were maybe, I don't, half a foot tall about, and I didn't really play with them, but I kept them because they were from the grandmother unit. And then I think she gave me another one that then was a little bit bigger, almost like, and there was a little container at the bottom. Yeah, so I remember those.
Oh, okay. All right, I get a visual. All right, so I would say that that person's involvement in certain things that were going on when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. And that fragment's coming to the surface. And I'm pulling it. Take its juice first. He's spilling all the beans out. Anything that you're hearing that you want to share, or?
Yeah.
Some of the lights are coming, or the density's coming.
Density.
Okay.
That's what they need.
So there's a repetitive voice going on. While they're coming, and I just want to verify whether they meant other density coming to try to interfere with this. Any density coming to try to interfere. We're getting a no. Light beings are coming. They're just becoming aware of the numbers of light beings who are coming.
They mean that light beings are coming and collecting.
Light beings are coming and collecting the densities that I've exposed. Okay, so that's what it is. The light beings are coming. They see them coming and grabbing hold of those that are exposed. So whenever you guys see anything coming of them having to do with something dense, they are already marked. No. So don't be shy about telling me about anything that you see. Because once you see them, they are being taken. Some of you might feel something trying to tell you if you see something, well, they're going to take out their revenge on you. Don't believe them, they can't. Alexa, stop. Okay. So, speaking children, that's the sounds that you're hearing coming out of Jessica. Speaking children. Oh, that was somebody who says himself a little witch. He's wearing one of those.
Chief.
1700s. Yes. 1700s. Yes, go ahead.
It's Mimosa.
Sorry,
I
Mimosa.
had, yeah. So I had this visual of like Jessica having like a chain around her neck, like the slaves used to have, and there were strings attached to it, and the metal necklace had spikes pointing inside and hurting her neck, and on each string there was I don't know if it was like little girls or maybe dolls holding the strings and skipping in a circle, and while skipping they were like all happy and um, kind and nice, and then every once in a while one would like pull the chain and her face would change into like some evil kind of thing. And there was also an older woman, like she was a dense entity, but she was just shown as an old witchy woman.
Okay. Now you're saying you sensed that she wasn't a dense entity?
She was a dense entity, but
Okay,
she
well,
was pretending she was an old woman.
okay. Wow, that's a lot. Okay, so let me see. Verification. They're really fighting this one. But I'm getting that is because I'm getting a really strong visual of it. Please. And with that visual, I'm going to contain it. So literally, again, what's this one? First Nations again. Okay. First Nations. Again, First Nations experience.
No.
I believe in that one you were considered to be a seer. That opened up something. Let me pull that out.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, good. Now this is physical. I'm getting it was like on the other side. Yeah. That obviously still was existing, containing. Okay, everyone, we're going to do this exercise again. We're going to contain it so that there's no running away from this. So, from the start, number 3, everyone's going to contain this image that Mimosa just shared with us. 1, 3, contain. And at the count of 3, everyone's going to grab, in other words, you're already holding it, contain it, and we're going to move this into the vortex of no return on the count of 3.
No.
1, 2, and 3. Release. Yes.
It's Nelly. When you first mentioned the doll, I saw 2 chickens, a black one and a red one. And then when her grandmother unit came up, I saw a backyard and the chicken house that was fenced by a tree. And when the chickens moved, there was something like almost like there's a ritual that the grandmother unit did or somebody did in the corner that's closest to the tree.
Okay. Now, Jessica, did your grandma have chickens, or we're in a rural area?
Yeah, I don't remember her at the time having chickens that I was there, but maybe before I was born.
Okay. Now, when you see this woman, do you see her as a middle-aged woman, or 30s, 40s, 20s?
Middle-aged, not too old.
More like
But it felt like it was her grandmother unit for sure.
Okay, go verify. Because you have 2 grandmothers, obviously, Jessica. So.
Yeah.
Which now, the ones that we've been focusing on, was that the father's mother unit that we were focusing on before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Now let's switch over to the mother's mother, the mother unit's mother.
Yeah, so they had a farm. So I don't remember all the things that they had on the farm, but they had definitely, I think, cows, pigs. I don't really remember the chickens, but they probably had them at some
Oh, they
point.
would definitely, yeah. Any bona fide farm would have chickens. So
Right.
let's see. That's good. That's the we're done with cooking. I'm gonna get a yes. And chickens, yes.
Yeah.
And yes, involved in some witchcraft stuff. Yes. Wow, interesting. Using chickens in rituals. Chicken blood. Chicken blood. This I see before you were born.
Hi.
Not really directed at you. Not necessarily directed at you, but that energy was around you. So through the mother unit, that energy was around you through the mother unit. Is that them or is that you trying to tell me something? Okay, it's them. Okay, it changed. Let's see who walked in. Okay. Let's see if I can get them other than growling, making weird noises. They can actually say something. Might end up being empath through Ms. A. So the Moab's still on the side. So you might assist me. It go better for you if you do.
Yes. We have resistance.
Let's see. What exactly is the grandmother unit doing with the chickens? Come on, you can find out that information. Which ritual? Targeting.
Oh. Some. Let's see.
On my shoulders. Okay, go ahead.
It was it's all-encompassing kind of ritual, a general ritual.
General, sort of like power-seeking ritual or something of that sort.
Or to steal essence.
To steal essence and.
Yes, it's a bargain. I get essence or I get power in exchange for something. They have to always give up something. Sometimes it's enough chickens, but usually it's more than the chicken. Sometimes they'll use the chicken as a representation of someone.
Okay. Position chickens as a representation of someone. Okay, so this is tying into the body. Let's see. Now, that's interesting. It's a different, interesting angle. There's a lot of stuff that's going on the mother's side of the family.
They're actually also putting curses on others.
That's curses as well. So the sewing up of the cadaver has to do with part of the curse.
Hi.
Chicken's part of the curse.
Hi.
Their ritual was a cheap version of the actual ritual.
The cheap version of the actual ritual.
Yes.
So
they did not do it very well.
Okay, so they didn't do it very well though.
They did not get very much because they did not do it very well.
Yeah. So they got Kmart results.
Yes.
So anyway.
And I think they did have a few fires like later on the farm unit. So they probably were attacked because they didn't do it right.
So in other words, so with the house caught on fire.
Is there as much punishment for bad rituals?
Yeah, well, as you say, much punishment for bad rituals, meaning that it's like if you're weak, you shouldn't go up against anything stronger than you. So, in other words, what they were going up against had stolen more essence than they had. Therefore, had more juice in which to reverse or just or what do you call it, counter whatever they were trying to get. So in a sense, it was as though they were trying to expand their territory in a sense. But by doing that, they literally had to invade the territory that was stolen by those that they were trying to invade, who had stolen it from those who were there before. So they were literally trying to get their piece of the act, more than a bigger piece of the pie, so to speak.
He said, I believe you are very much undaunted by brutality. So if you would like to see the original ritual, I can hand it to you.
All right, I'm going to view this, and I'm going to view it in my own time, but I've seen a lot of stuff, and probably a lot worse than what he's got to show me. So I would say there's definitely offerings up of others. Was they still doing this after you came into the picture? And I go, yes, they were still trying to do certain things after you came into this particular expression. But the thing is trying to find out, how it's affecting you and where the blocks are. And we have dug up a number of things that are very, very key and have removed them. And I'm quite sure you're going to feel a lot of difference after this particular session.
Chief, I keep hearing altars.
So as far as with them and altars, yeah, if you think in terms of altars, it's not the same as what you would see like in the East or something like that. Or even
I
in
kind of
African
saw
altars, not like African altars either. Go ahead.
It was something looked like they created inside of the chicken coop close to the tree, like something like they created on their own, but they thought it was like an altar.
Would you say something like nailed to walls or something like that? Items nailed to walls, certain things like that. Even
Yes,
say chicken parts or chicken heads nailed to walls.
Like made boxes and stuff on them.
Okay. Boxes. Well, boxes would be part, He said I will see it in the ritual. Well, I'm not going to do it now because it'll take a certain amount of time for you to view it. But definitely we'll be prepared for your next session, Jessica.
Excuse me, Steve.
Yes.
I just wanted to say some things I think I saw earlier. I saw the older lady too. She was clawing and scratching, but as you pulled things off Jessica, she seemed to turn into ash. She was clawing as you were pulling, and then if you removed, for me, what I saw was her turning into ash. And then with the dolls, I saw the dolls cut in half, crawling along the floor like you would see in horror movies, with their mouths really far open, almost like in that scream face. And another thing I think I saw was like a demon dog or a big wolf chasing Jessica. She was in a lots of fabric, like flowing fabric, running and screaming, and then it jumped on top of her and ripped her throat out.
Wow. Well, that probably has something to do with what he was saying about rituals and that things being pretty graphic. And he said yes. So you got an accurate. You got an accurate vision. Your vision was accurate. I think that it literally was tapping into Jessica's fear. And I don't know if sometimes you have nightmares as a kid and you won't remember a lot of nightmares. Unless there's some specific nightmares, I think that these would also be introduced into your dreams, Jessica's dreams. Did it really happen in physical? No, it didn't happen in physical. It was just literally tuning her up.
So that these rituals that people pretend to do, it also ties them to that original ritual that they make up, which affects their daily lives.
Okay, now was this particular part of the ritual having to do with the mother's mother? Okay, so it's interesting because we have kind of like moved around primarily to the father unit's mother, but was up until a few minutes back ignoring. I shouldn't say ignoring, but I would say that hers wasn't coming up because it was weaker than the stuff that was on the father unit side of the family. But it definitely made an impact on this time in Jessica's life. So I would say that was some kind of a tug of war going on as well between those sides of the family. And now, just if you don't mind, there was a get together that had to do with the giving you a gift of this, if you recall, these verses from a song.
Yeah. Did you want me
Now,
to? Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yes, Chief.
Okay. Now, whose side of the family was predominant during that?
That was the father unit side.
Okay. Which again, they were the ones who won out in that particular battle. And I would say, would influence over you? Were they battling over influence over you at a certain point? You got a yes. But battling for you at that point, they had already lost that battle. So they were kind of pushed out of the scene. And there's no need to get into any personal stuff that had to do with the mother unit, but we all know that the mother unit didn't fare very well in that interaction in that particular scenario with the father unit.
Right.
Yeah. And so he brought someone else in, I think we talked about that, literally helped facilitate what happened to her. And he got a yes for that. But there was definitely damage there having to do with that connection to the mother's side. And that's what, good. This is very, very good.
He also offers every ritual that they have ever done connected to Jessica. Okay. And all the effects that it has had on her life.
Yeah, okay. Because I would say, I don't know if, well, I'll just throw this out. Did you feel there was some kind of weird emotional tug of war going on within yourself?
Yeah, definitely. It was interesting because the ritual with the father unit the mother unit's family would have a ritual too at the same time.
Yeah, you don't have to go into any details, just general stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would have to choose.
So the mother unit, their side would be also at the same time would be doing rituals as well.
Yeah, so I'd have to choose which one, which event to go with, which ritual to go to, kind of.
Now,
Yeah.
which side would win out generally?
It was usually the father unit side, yeah.
They did rituals better.
Yeah, he said they did rituals better, yeah. Which means they had more backing also. And probably because they did rituals better, they ended up, collecting more support from, those who were involved in that type of thing. Yeah. So it does seem as though, in some sense, that whatever's going on with those on the mother side, that their thing just ended up withering over time. Yeah. Yeah. So the grandparent units on the mother side, they're no longer around, right? They're transitioned out.
Yeah, I was pretty young when they transitioned out, so I don't really remember them very much. I was maybe like 3, 4, I think, around there.
And I got that the certain family members of the mother unit were carrying on certain practices.
Okay.
Carrying on similar practices, and probably have attempted to, even to this day. Now, would you say that those individuals moved further away from where they originally grew up?
No, so they stayed, mostly all of them stayed in the same area. Even one of the uncle units is living on the land that the grandparent units lived on.
Okay. So did any of them actually leave, like the state leave, just put distance between themselves? Now, actually, the question is, how close did they live to father unit's family?
So they were about 2.5 hours away.
Oh, so that's not that close in general. Okay, that's like the distance between maybe Philadelphia and New York City or something. Okay. So they were definitely from another region, but I'm not going to get into how the mother unit met the father unit anyway. But
and maybe it's only an hour and a half. I'm not sure, but
okay. Well, let's see what they say.
Hi.
No, they're saying it's closer to what you said originally, like about 2 hours, roughly 2 hours away.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
2 hours, 15 minutes. Being pretty exact. Anyway, Someone was saying as the crow flies, but anyway, what's the question?
Chief, can
Yes.
there was one other thing that reminded me of the farm and the barn. Miss Oracle Owl mentioned like a girl that maybe passed away in the barn.
Okay, so that is a fragment. That is someone, yeah, that's in that barn. I would say the chicken coop either is against the barn, next to the barn, against the barn. So perhaps some of the stuff that they were nailing, maybe that is where what Nellie saw as an altar, as a wall with the altar was probably the barn wall. Out of the chicken coop. Okay. Young girl, did she die in a ritual? No. Some accidental death? Family walk? Accidental death? Somewhere in the 1900s, somewhere in the 1900s, there was some kid who died in the barn. They said there have been other deaths of children. Nothing as nefarious as a ritual sacrifice or anything. But there are times when someone transitions out and then things will swoop in, take over that particular consciousness or soul. So there are times when someone who's dealing with witchcraft, there's someone who's passed on, and they'll try to show up to try to literally grab hold of that particular consciousness, that particular soul, and in order to utilize it for whatever they want to utilize it for. So I think that was what was going on with that, and that is considered what Ms. Oracle, I think, considered to be a fragment. Now, was it the whole consciousness? It is a fragment. So there was a battle over this kid's soul. Almost reminds me of the that particular movie we reviewed, Sleep Doctor, Dr. Sleep, where the old guy almost, I guess it's almost like he was a yin type of leader, and when he finally was dying, and they just like, oh, it's over. They literally were just feasting on what you call his steam, his essence, and so on. They were literally fighting over the soul. Ms. Oracle spent a lot of time in Egypt, and a friend of hers there was transitioning out. Yeah. And when she showed up, they wanted her to help revive him or whatever. And she showed up to his hospital room, and there was another man standing in the corner. Yeah. And he was just standing there like he was doing something, and to her friend's family, he was trying to help him with his, get well. But obviously, they didn't feel like he was really doing any good, so they called in Ms. Oracle L. She said she came in, she could sense something was up. And when she checked out the guy, he was literally doing something as she felt to capture the soul of her friend. But when he transitioned, he would have hold of that, of his consciousness, of his soul, and then take it to use, or as they lock away consciousness, they lock away souls. They can lock away your soul through your belief in something. Yeah. Various temples have these stupas here, and there have been numerous times when I was called by someone who was a seer who called me to come to temple that there were spirits there wanting me to come to them. And I said, well, cool, it's an interesting experience I'll have. And inevitably, I would find that there were a number of trapped under these stupas. And what was sealing them in was what we considered black ooze, which is just the empty carcasses of other consciousness. I would remove that, they would come out. also whatever was there, which we'll call a dense monk, would be revealed, and then I would deal with them. So with this situation with her friend, this guy was literally trying to, in other words, capture the soul of her friend, who was quite a seer himself. So seers tend to have more energy, and they're, at the time all this stuff has been going on for a long time, they're considered a hot commodity when it comes to those who are doing dense magic. It's satanic stuff, witchcraft, and so on and so forth. Always there's this whole big thing of trying to capture souls. So sometimes they'll make excursions to places where there are battlefields, and many people had died, and numerous souls are still wandering around, a lot of times not knowing what happened to them. And they'll go and they'll do these little rituals and try to capture these spirits and make them into what some would call familiars, to work for them, to do all kinds of weird nefarious stuff that just feed density. So all that had to do with, because the little girl that you're talking about, there's a couple of them, they're just like beat down. They're just really afraid, and and all the negative stuff that has been said to them, they basically hang on to that, which also weakens you with them being inside of you. Those voices come up and try to figure out where they're coming from. And a lot of times you'll think it's something dense, but actually it's something that may not be as dense, but has been trapped, and they're using their voice and their emotions to affect you. So with and I haven't really tuned into the ones who are making the noise right now, and I did get that some were like children making these noises. Are they dense? No, they're captured.
Chief,
No.
excuse me, Chief.
Okay, Marley, go ahead.
I can see a lady pressing a red button, and hers in the cage saying no, 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 and then when her
Jessica's in the cage.
Jessica is in the cage.
Okay.
Yeah. And when I press the red button, it closes and then bring her down to like lots of people screaming.
And people locked in cages.
You're locked in cages.
Other people locked in cages.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Visual accuracy, very good, very good. So this is literally, so if this is happening right now, it's almost like, trying to come in and I guess, whisk away, I'd say, if it's, let's see, if it is just, no, what you're saying is probably the other girls who have been captured, but they look like Jessica. Yeah, there's another screaming going on. And, and bringing down to where they're holding all these other souls that they've captured. So very good, now they're on the map. We'll be visiting that particular area right now.
No.
Yes. Okay.
I'm gonna purge real quick, Chief. Just
Yes, go ahead. And when you come back, let us know. Well, of course you will. That's very good. That's a nice purge. That means we're really making some good headway here. Okay.
Hi, Chief, it's Sayer.
Yes, Sayer.
So this was about the doll. I was like holding on to it until it was the right time. But with the doll that she was given, there's an entity that is inside the doll, and it would come out to feed on her, so the person who gave her the doll could benefit in some type of way.
That makes total sense, and I would say yes, yeah, absolutely. A lot of weird gifts can be like that. Even the fact that she had this gift and she was inclined not to play with it because they didn't want her to break it. So, in other words, to keep it intact, or even if she was handling it a lot or something like that, to feel like it would maybe weaken the energy or something, or corrupt the energy. So they had it in a certain sense, like it was menagerie cabinets. A lot of times, if you walk into a place with menagerie cabinets, there are a number of items in there that are basically there to feed. Are all things in menagerie cabinets there to feed? No. Well, it's going down a bit. It's almost like most. So So individuals who are attracted to little trinket type things, you know, a little kitty statuettes and so on and so forth, and things like that. Those things, look, they get all weak and stuff now. They're really having a hard time with this information. But I can use my finger as a muscle testing gauge. So you walk into a place, there's something pulling your attention, something like a pretty little something, figurine or whatever. You know, when I was a little kid, I kind of like messing with those things, and I always felt that there was some kind of personality in them, but I didn't think they were logical to have as I got older and I started moving around, you know, because I was traveling to, you know, for opportunity, for career and so on and so forth, and, you know, to carry a certain number of little trinket things, and they're starting to really pain over this, was just illogical, you know, what are all these little trinket things. But I did have items before I was totally aware that I did carry with me. Some things having to do with some statuette stuff that was gifted to me from Egypt, or some African item or whatever, or some little African pipe or something that was gifted to me that was obviously dense. But they tried to, you know, say, well, this is, you know, for luck or something like that, you know, and so on and so forth. This is connected to your ancestry, and so on and so forth. When in reality, it was
Yeah.
whoever was giving it to me, whatever their attachments were, even if they weren't totally aware, were giving me something so that they can tap into my energy, and so that I would feed my energy into them as I looked at these things. That's why it's very, very dicey if you're putting together altars and you don't know why you're really putting them together, other than someone saying honoring your ancestors and so on and so forth. 9 times out of 10, it isn't. They're not honoring your ancestors. Especially if you don't have the sense of fear. Feel when something doesn't feel balanced or feel right. So I don't know, Jessica, that?
Yes, I'm back, Chief.
Okay. So, okay, Ms. A, okay?
Hi.
Yeah.
So probably bring up some memories, as they said, something to bring up memories of things that she was given and certain items she was given. I would say at this particular point, all of you guys, like your warriors, will probably recall something that was given to you, but there was this turmoil as to, it feels weird, but if I throw it away, I may disrespect the person who gave it to me. And a lot of times they use the whole concept of family in order to keep you hanging on to things a lot of times. Or the concept of a close or a bestest buddy or best friend or something like that. So that, they gifted me this, and they took the time to pick it out for me and so on and so forth. Darn straight they took the time to pick it out, to pick out something that would suck your essence more, as the most effective item that will suck the most essence out of you. Now, are all gifts like that? I would say all gifts like that. Most gifts are like that. On the rare occasion, someone actually really thinks you'll like something, and they'll give you something because they said, I know that you like these things. Oh, sorry. But even then, they can be tricked into giving you something that will feed the person who created the item, or they say enchanted the item.
They don't know what name brand means in terms of whoever created that.
You're gonna have to give me more.
Okay, let me check.
Yes.
Big brands, people think, oh, I only buy name brand because I'm high class, but they're feeding something.
Yeah, all corporate names are connected to Satanism.
My.
When they're, drilling, with their commercials, they say that's just to sell our stuff, but it's also to corkscrew you into giving your essence to whatever items you're buying from this particular corporation.
Rolex, things like that.
Yeah, Rolex, big one, because it totally didn't make sense to me that it's $50,000 on a freaking watch or plus or more. And also, the whole show off thing, I'm never impressed with people who just show off look, I can afford, or, this expensive thing. Because also, that is a way to glean essence from those who don't have that kind of money. So if someone's walking around with this kind of stuff, they are clearly playing into density's hands, and they, in most cases, are very dense themselves. I said, wow, nice car, nice house, nice watch, nice whatever. This is all a dense game. It's like, wow, siblings. One gets connected and then they have more money than this other sibling. And what happens a lot of times in those so-called family units, the one who has more is flaunting it in front of the one who doesn't have more. Therefore, they are feeding on the essence of the one who does not have more.
Yeah.
And if the one who does not have more buys into this concept that having more makes you better, then they're feeding willingly. So the one who's walking around with all the glitz and so on and so forth, they're only getting a ones who are walking around with all that glitz are getting a fraction of that essence. The lion's share goes to their handlers. They're not large and in charge of anything. They're just puppets and made a deal.
Yeah.
Feed density and said, I will do anything you tell me just to get these trinkets and feed density.
Yeah.
So they can barely see past the tip of their nose because they think this is the world. All this attention, all of this stuff, this is it. But the way that it gets set up the system, you get old and then you croak. And when you croak, there's nothing. That's why a lot of people fragment when you get to the other side because they got all this stuff and they believe so much in this as being nirvana, being heaven, being all there is, that they can't let it go. They have a hard time letting go. So you end up with haunted houses, haunted mansions, haunted luxury cars, vintage luxury cars, haunted all kinds of stuff, haunted watches, haunted items, period. Because that ghost is just as stupid as they were when they were alive. And they have a hard time letting go. So they don't want to believe that they were lied to, that this was, the top of the top in the universe, to have items. Okay, so is that what getting to as far as like the brand names and things like that? Is it? Okay, because that is good enough. Right.
They said giving too many examples might be an overload.
Yeah, too many examples. That's why we watch sessions and forums and so on and so forth, because there's a lot of information that comes through from this, and you're not going to get it in one fell swoop. You're going to have to review more than a few times. All right, so and when I'm getting the ones that a lot of times, I think that they're all these young girls. That particular noise that makes that you're making it all these young girls. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to release them.
No.
Well, then they'll be released into the vortex of no return because they got to get out of the way.
Yes, that's why they say no. They don't even know that it's going to be better than what they.
Yeah, it's better than suffering.
Right? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not a little girl. That's just stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, being purged out. Very good.
Yeah.
Digging in deeper.
No.
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
See if we should do an exercise. Okay. All right. What Marley had seen, the area where there are all the cages. We're going to do an exercise, a 3-minute containment of this area. So I can move through that without things running around, trying to get away, which even if they did, they get caught anyway. But this is just an exercise so you can tune up your focus and your intent. Okay? Got that? All right, so it'd be better once I start. Okay, everyone get ready? Your energy ball there together. Alexa, set timer for 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Okay.
Starting now.
All right, here we go. And you see me touching areas of the body, things will collect in various areas of the physical body. They just see it pretty much as area, as terra firma. They don't really see you as a physical just walking around, like humanoid. They just see it a lot of times just area, just some space in which to connect something to. If you get a chance to see any SLS videos online, any good ones, you will see that these it's like these stick figures show up on the video. That's what the SLS is, how they show things that the human eye can't see in the room or in an area. This one particular guy, can't remember his name now, but anyhow, I don't need to get him. Anyway, he will have. I'm trying to make the decision as I'm going here. He will have certain things. Literally, his house is just inundated with entities that are making all kinds of noise, throwing stuff around, and so on and so forth. And he does prayers and all the time, and they just walk in and out like he's not saying anything. He's bought holy water, splashing it all over the place, and you might as well see him like showering in the stuff because it doesn't affect them. And having the priest show up 3 times a week, and this stuff's been going on for months after months. And the priest said, well, they're going to need 5 times a week, when in reality, they can come, the priest could sleep in his house, it won't make a difference. This is how they work. So you'll see these stick figures walking around, which are literally showing you the entities that are walking around in this place, and they'll try to feed off of him, and they will touch areas of his body. They'll touch, will touch his ankles or his feet, or what are the other areas like the knees,
the head, the face.
Yeah, the head or the face. Places where a lot of energy will build up on people. Sometimes feet discomfort. If you have sore feet, there's usually something that has to do with something connecting itself to that area. You start getting enough clearings on that area, all that heat thing stuff will go away. A lot of chronic aches and so on and so forth are just basically inundated with attachments in that area. And sometimes, if you're actually doing work, part of my movement, and you get some soreness after sessions or whatever, that just means it's coming to the surface and it's coming out. And I'm training you to do containment to help pull it out. You'll notice that after a while, a short while, it will go away. Alexa, stop. Okay. Now, did anyone see anything while you were containing?
Hi, Chief, it's Zaire. I saw a control panel with multiple buttons, like how Marley said. I just saw more buttons though, but I saw it breaking.
Okay, very good. So again, there's a lot of times that what you will say will can trigger things. That's why there are certain beliefs that if you say like Moloch is pretty much contained. If you use the name without someone who can handle them, like myself, they can be problematic. And so there are certain cultures, if you mention the name of something that they consider to be a demon or something like that, and they say, I don't want to hear it. Don't mention that name to me, because I'm not going to mention that name. If you mention his name, you're going to, attract him to yourself. And that's with a lot of indigenous cultures. Like some of the, a lot of the First Nations people, they have certain things, names of like the Wendigo and so on and so forth, skinwalkers and things like that, where they don't want to talk about it because the fear of attracting it to themselves, because they don't feel that they have the ability to deal with what this thing is. And if they come in, a lot of poltergeist action will happen, and so on. Or activity, I should say. Yes, is it?
He said that it's like if you want to sense of a beacon when you focus on them. So
Yeah.
if they would focus on him as Moloch, he said, I only pay attention if they have enough essence for me to come ask me to demand a gathering.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So Moloch says that a beacon goes out when you mention his name or you think and focus on him.
Yes, he said you can also how he would gather essence. If you watch a movie and you see owls, you see me.
Yeah.
And he said that anyone, if they focus on the owls, not only do they see them, if they think about them, they can then take up space within their mind, which is taking up space within their energy, and feeds me continually, he said.
Yeah, even if you listen, you like listening to ghost stories and things like that.
Or Hogwarts, lots of owls.
Yeah, the Hogwarts stuff, big time feeding. I believe that the author, the story that I had read some years ago, that she was literally homeless at a certain point. She made a deal. And that deal was to facilitate something that would generate massive feeding. And she successfully did that. Therefore, she is, living what she considers to be high on the hog. She will pay up in the end eventually.
She owes me.
Yeah, she says she owes him also.
She cannot pay.
Yeah, and you cannot pay.
She can't pay up what she owes.
Why is it? Because of what the lightnings are doing or what?
Because she is in the deficit in terms of paying up for energy.
Well, that's something I have to look into as far as like how she ends up in the deficit, because I was under the assumption that every time she gets anything, it goes to them.
Because now they cannot feed anymore.
So, right, you have to produce a certain amount of essence. It's like that's where their torturous time thing, month thing, monthly rent, monthly pay, monthly, yearly taxes, all these little cycles. These are all to torment you out of essence. And for certain individuals who make deals, they have to pay a certain amount of essence from those who they rope in. And at this point, there's very little steam. That's one of the reasons that movie that was made several years ago. They know exactly what was going on, and it was Dr. Sleep. And they portrayed the woman looking for steam and saying, we don't know why there's not as much steam as there was before. And she's scanning, at this point, scanning the continent of the United States to look for, someone who has more steam. Because they figured that somebody has, there's got to be somebody out there with a lot of steam or enough steam for them to feed on.
He said all those in the limelight at this current time are in the deficit.
So all in the limelight at this particular time are in the deficit, because every one of them is the same. And I'm getting a yes on that. Every single one of them are at a deficit. We're talking about some celebrities showing up at places where you wouldn't normally see a celebrity like that, because they're trying to feed. And you might find this on social media or whatever. Certain people who are celebrities who looked up, even younger ones who seem to be falling apart, or some weird illness is coming over them, or certain ones who may not be as young as those individuals, but all of a sudden they're breaking down. And these guys are considered to be icons amongst those who are into movies and so on and so forth. So,
he said that they're being punished for not paying for enough essence and steam.
Yeah, so the way that they do it is basically the same way that the banks do. So you lose your job, but you have a heavy mortgage. If you haven't saved up enough money as a buffer, just in case you might lose your job, then you'll run out of money. And the bank is not going to give you much of a grace period. Their grace period is not a grace period to pay your mortgage. And if you're not paying the proper amount, it just mounts up with penalties. This is how density works. This is how they've set it up in this world. So the bank doesn't care. The bank doesn't care if you lost your job. You owe them money. You signed the contract with the bank to pay them a certain amount of money as you sign the contract with the density to pay them a certain amount of essence every month or every year or whatever the schedule is. You can't pay up, it becomes a deficit. And then you end up having problems in your avatar. Some individuals, they just like give it up and then they just take themselves out. Some try to hang in there because they're afraid of transitioning, because also religion makes you afraid of, makes a lot of people afraid of transitioning because they've done some really bad things for density in order to maintain their way of living. Yeah, listen to that.
He said if this was the time before light beings had come, all heads, if not all heads would roll already in terms of the limelight if they were in this much deficit.
Oh, they would be, but because there's chaos on the side,
Yes.
on the other side right now, so they're having trouble collecting. But they're not getting support, and also these individuals have to consume a certain amount of energy themselves, because that's part of the contract as well. It's like you get roped into something that inevitably, a lot of times they have it set up where you're going to pay up, and they said, well, we'll let you know when you're going to pay up. And you may be at the top of your game, depending on how well or how much accommodate them. They may let you go to being, old age. But a lot of times when you go to old age, there are certain individuals who are, very well-known actors and comedians and so on and so forth, comedic actors and ones to think about when I was a kid. And as time went on, their popularity wanes, because those that they were feeding off of, are dying out. Unless they can repackage themselves and make, younger people with all that vibrant energy that they used to have interested in him, they're just going to fade out. And there have been stories of some of them who would just like hang out at McDonald's because a lot of people were going to McDonald's and waiting for somebody to recognize them. They're like 90 years old, 80s, in their 80s and 90s. Waiting to be recognized.
He said that those who are in the limelight that are falling apart a lot is because we are pulling their life essence.
Yeah, because if anything, if there's going to be essence to be given, the bank is going to get its essence. So they'll take your property and they'll resell it to get something from it. They may be able to get the full rate from it, but there's a lot of times that just take it. And they'll just, whatever they can get for it, they'll get for it as long as they can fill their coffers or fill their tank of essence. Okay. Now, where are you on time today? Because it seems to. Oh, okay. I don't want to ask.
You can ask the clients, what time is it?
Well,
3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Oh, 3 minutes left?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Because I wanted to wrap this up. So, what we're going to do, okay, within this 3 minutes, we're going to get our energy together here again. Go this apart, go that, and we're going to put this protective containment first around ourselves again, starting 1, 2, 3. All right. Now this next one, we're going to put around Jessica. And we're going to put it around Jessica's family member. The family member. All right. So, starting now, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, how are you feeling, Jessica?
Yeah, I'm feeling much better. Thank you, Chief.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, and thanks everyone for again joining the healing circle and training session. I know I'm adding more things to it, try to get more expansive, build on what you're actually accumulating already from your sessions and from the work that we're doing, and I feel that everyone's doing well, and those who are contributing, doing well. Again, those who are quiet, that's cool. It's, you have to come in when you feel comfortable. There's nothing wrong with being quiet until you feel comfortable coming in, or until you feel like you actually have, that you're seeing things that you feel is worthwhile sharing. But I would probably sense that you are sensing something, but you may be feeling a little shy about it. But that's okay, because you will get to the point where you'll just get very, very comfortable as long as you continue to do these healing circles. So again, thanks everyone for joining the Healing Circle training session, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
Todd.
Thank you.
Bye, Saya.
Bye, Marley.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.